A very warm welcome back to the channel. In today's proceedings, there's focus on Turkish Airlines, who are expanding their Australian network. United Airlines being impacted by 737 MAX problems and Boeing delaying production ramp-up plans, and that is where I do want to begin. Boeing is reportedly delaying plans to ramp up production of its 737. This is per Reuters, amid an ongoing investigation by several parties surrounding key production practices. As Boeing continues to face mounting pressures, and as we know has been forced to put forward a turnaround action plan within 90 days, production adjustments aren't possible. Additionally, a move doesn't necessarily come as a shock following the FAA informing Boeing that they were not allowed to increase production. Boeing agreed with this move, but no doubt the implications on customers would always be noticeable, and they're becoming very apparent now. If Boeing were to say increase production on the 737, the concern was that setbacks may occur in the culture change process. Boeing must first and foremost remedy not necessarily the issues on its aircraft, but rather remedy the reason why these keep appearing, to hopefully cease it from occurring on such a frequent basis. Ideally, you would not have it happen to begin with, but obviously little niggles here and there that are hopefully not serious to the integrity of the aircraft can sometimes slip through. While safety is paramount, there's really been an increased focus on the long-term stability of the company, which hasn't been present for some time according to most, and therefore there are frustrations. With the inability to increase production alongside other delays, Boeing is further losing ground to fierce competitor in the space, Airbus. The European plane maker has taken the title of the leading manufacturer for several years now, and Boeing's horror start to 2024 arguably doesn't aid its ambition of taking this year's title away. But to be completely honest, would you say Boeing are actually targeting the number one plane maker title at the moment? I'd honestly say no, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing by any means. They need to rebuild, reshape themselves as a manufacturer, and in a couple of years hopefully be able to regain that title after a lengthy review process. While obvious frustrations are present internally, analysts argue that they aren't necessarily warranted, considering Boeing finds itself scrambling in this position because of itself and no one else. Any potential production rate ramp-up previously forecasted to occur throughout 2024 have been substantially pushed back. While the hope is that these will occur at the revised time, it is still unclear if this will be possible. For Boeing, they need to move forward with a clear and concise plan of becoming once more not just a safe manufacturer, but as I touched on, a leader. A better Boeing is not just fantastic for its customers, but for increasing competition in the broader industry. Unfortunately for Boeing, its glory days have, at least analysts argued, long passed. The ambition is to reach them again with future aircraft and even their existing planes, but they must navigate the significant problems that they're facing. As the FAA has greater oversight into production practices, the hope will be to have stability in the future. However, time and time again, Boeing has attempted to right its wrongs, and negative developments have come back. Looking into future years, the primary objective will be to have year after year largely problem-free, with the safest and best possible planes produced, and a fantastic attitude to go along with it. Indeed, taking a little step back from coverage on Boeing and moving over to Turkish Airlines, who have, in the past couple of weeks, officially commenced service to Australia by touching down in Melbourne, my home, with its Boeing 777. Service commencement has been a long time in the making, following long-standing rumours and the official announcement we received in January 2024, where the airline stated its intent. The flight was operated by a 777 and originated in Istanbul, with a stopover point in Singapore before completing the 8-hour trek down to Australia. The landmark moment for the airline was shared around the world, with Victorians alike thrilled with the news that a new carrier would be available to fly towards Europe and connect onwards to more destinations on the Turkish network. Hopefully they won't be the only airline not just in close proximity to Europe, but even surrounding locations that will in the future deploy towards Australia. Additionally, for the large population that call Turkey as a second home and live in Melbourne or Victoria, an option to fly with the flag carrier has now been made available. Initially, the airline will operate a thrice-weekly service with a year-round flight, bringing great benefits to tourism and trade. In the future, the airline will look to make the service non-stop from Istanbul. However, new aircraft deliveries will need to occur to make this possible. Specifically, the airline is targeting the upcoming delivery of the Airbus A350-1000 to make these non-stop flights possible. Now, this is very similar to what we're seeing Qantas do, as they will use the enhanced range of the Dash 1000 to offer their own ultra long-haul flights. Away from offering non-stop flights, the hope would be to also make this flight to Melbourne daily at some point. This could occur before year's end, and this is purely off murmurs from executives at both Melbourne Airport and Turkish Airlines, but I must add has yet to be officially confirmed. Obviously, the airline has around 7 to 8 months to really take a look at traffic levels and demand to see whether they believe a daily service would be possible. But by all accounts, this is their goal. But it's not just commencing to Australia that has made headlines. The airline also says it'll be adding Sydney to its network by year's end, and therefore its second destination in Australia. The expectation is that Turkish Airlines will run flights 4 times a week by year's end, with either the 787 or the A350, with the specific aircraft yet to be confirmed. Turkish Airlines believes the Melbourne route is just the beginning, and the Asia-Pacific region has much to offer the major airline. Australia now becomes the 130th country to join the network for the airline that now spans across 6 continents. Melbourne did edge out Sydney for the title of their first destination to Australia, but again, the hope is that when we enter 2025, both locations will be featured. On to the final story of today, and in a filing with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, United Airlines generally went over and discussed the impact that it expects following persistent MAX problems. United says that in 2024, and a massive drum roll please, it'll acquire 102 fewer new aircraft, substantially impacting its growth over the coming years. Additionally, with these delays, and as I touched on when I said coming years, the knock-on effect will be more than present, with the future being significantly impacted. Before the most recent delays, United had been forecasting pretty substantial growth in several markets, with these new aircraft from Boeing deemed as crucial in achieving that. However, now executives say their growth goals won't be entirely possible. The hope is, best case scenario, the delivery of 63 aircraft across this calendar year, down from the staggering 165 that it did have previously. The aircraft deliveries are part of the airline's primary strategy of revamping its fleet and overall operation. This is labelled United Next. And the thing is, for United, the delays aren't because they're in, say, financial turmoil. Maybe they say can't acquire the aircraft for fear of negative impact, or they're not ready. The reality is that United can acquire these aircraft, but they're battling with Boeing's persistent quality issues that was certainly highlighted at the beginning of this year. Following the Alaska incident, we've seen several investigations into the plane maker, but I won't go any further on that front. For United and Boeing, Boeing's inability to get the 737-10 certified is also something that's hurt United. As a result, the airline has had to look elsewhere to cover for lost capacity, whether that is with Airbus or other MAX variants. To understand the 737-10's place within United, we do briefly need to understand the expected deliveries across a multi-year period. In 2024, the airline had hoped to take delivery of 80 737-10s. In 2025, this figure would drop to 71, but after 2025, 126 aircraft would be delivered. And as part of the filing and adjusted plans, the airline has wiped this plane from its future fleet plan. That really highlights all you need to know about the difficulties that they are facing and just how much coverage they'll need. That's going to conclude today's pretty lengthy aviation news update. If you've got any thoughts, you can drop them down below in the comments. Thanks a lot for your support. Take care. Do also be safe, and I'll see you next time.
And we'll fly.